In the next edition of It's About Money, my guest is John Casey. He is the chairman of the board of the Rochester Spinal Association. Stay tuned for the next edition of It's About Money. Hello and welcome to another edition of It's About Money. I'm Nannette Nocon and thank you for joining us. I'm thrilled that my guest today is John Casey. He is the chairman of the board of the Rochester Spinal Association. Thank you for being here, John.
Thank you for having me, Nannette.
I'm excited to hear more about your organization because it's because of the mission that it serves. And actually tell us about the organization.
Well, the organization started out as the National Spinal Cord Injury Association of Rochester. And after I got hurt about 4 years ago, I started to get involved, very much involved with the association, and subsequently we changed our name to Rochester Spinal Association so that it was easier for people to recognize and also easier for people to recognize the geographic area that we serve. The association started about 25 years ago. And throughout those 25 years, we survived mostly on about $1,000 a year that was given to us by a local family foundation. And once I started getting involved in understanding the need out there and how many people have spinal cord disabilities, I recognized that we needed to enhance our mission, which was to enhance the quality of life of people with spinal cord disabilities. And we set two goals last year. One was to raise money so that we could enhance the lives of people with spinal cord disabilities. And the second was to raise awareness of the association and also raise awareness for the challenges that people in wheelchairs face on a daily basis.
Sure, I think it's a great idea because sometimes people don't talk about it. And it's better to bring it out there because people need help and people want to help out.
Right, and you don't see an awful lot of people in wheelchairs with spinal cord disabilities out and about in the community because it's very challenging for people. Their daily activities of living just to get ready and prepared for their day, to clean themselves up, to go to the bathroom, to change into their clothes, it can be very daunting to some people. And some people would rather just stay home and just be casual and not get out in the public. So we're working to address that and get the message out to people that there are thousands of us here in the Rochester area. U of R Medical Center, they handle about 75 new cases every year. So our numbers are growing, and 25% of us now live with some sort of disability in the United States. And by the time we all get elderly, 80% of us are going to have some type of mobility issues. So our numbers are growing, unfortunately, and we want to do something to make the quality of life of those people that are in chairs better.
And that's great. So 25% has some disability. Among those who have the spinal cord disability, do we know any information about the background? Are most of them veterans? What is the background? What is the cause of injury typically?
Well, mostly it's vehicular accidents that put people in chairs, and usually it's a younger person that is hurt and in a chair. So I'm outside the norm. Fortunately for me, I guess, that I was able to maintain a career and raise and have a family, and I feel like I've been very fortunate in life, and I ended up being injured very late in my life, only 4 years ago, and I feel like I've lived a good life, and I've been very fortunate and very successful, and this is my way of giving back to the community and trying to make this place a little bit better than it was before I came into it. So
I love it.
And that's my goal. That's what I'm working towards, and that's what our whole association is working towards. We have a great volunteer base of people that our association board is made up of about a third healthcare workers, a third of people in wheelchairs, and a third people from the business community. So we've got a pretty well-rounded group and pretty diverse group, and a very hard-working board, and I can't say enough about these people. They're just so dedicated and so hardworking, and they're working real hard to help other people in life that need it, and I feel very fortunate to be a part of that.
And that's great, because often they say it's not what happens, it's how we deal with it, and what a great way to deal with know, the injury that you had and having the disability. So I commend you for that, admire you for it.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. So in terms of the support that the organization gives to the community, you raise awareness and also funds for people. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we have a picnic every winter for people, and we have a picnic every summer for the people. And every month we have a peer group get together where healthcare workers and caregivers and people with spinal cord disabilities get together and just share stories. And we try to bring in a guest speaker every month to maybe inform people of what different wheelchairs are out there, what different accessories to chairs can help them live a little easier and be a little more mobile. This year we have someone coming in to tell us about creating adaptable vehicles. But in addition to that, we've raised a lot of money over the last year. Very fortunate. We've had 2016 was a great year for us, and we raised a lot of money, and we hope that we can replicate that now in 2017. And we've been giving out grants, and we've given out almost 24 of them, and we'll give them out up to $2,500, and all people need to do to receive a grant is to show us that there is some type of a financial need, and also just let us know how whatever we're going to provide them, whether it be a service or a piece of equipment, how it's going to enhance the quality of their life. And it's a pretty simple process, and we just feel very fortunate we've been able to give out that many grants so far this year. And the grants are astounding, the different types of grants that we've been able to give out, and it's just very heartwarming, and it's just been great for us to do.
Can you give us some examples of
Yeah.
those?
Two that really hit me, and as I'm going through all the grants and reading them, one was from a young man, young relatively speaking, and he was hurt back in 2000 from a standby gun shooting, and he was just standing nearby and ended up being the recipient of the gunshot wound. And he is paralyzed. He's a paraplegic, and he had been living in his mom's upstairs, and he can't get downstairs unless someone carries him down. And he's been living this way for a couple of years, and he's been looking for an apartment to move into. And he found the apartment and was planning to move in. The only thing that was holding him back was the need for some furniture. And we were able to go and buy him a couch and buy him a TV and a stand for the television and buy him a chair to sit in so that he could live an independent life. And he said that one of the things that he wanted to do was have his boys and his daughters come visit him at his home, and have his friends come visit him, and have them have a place to sit and gather and just try to live as normal a life as possible. So that one really kind of drew at my heartstrings. And we also had another person that was injured back in 2013, and she was in the hospital for some issues that she was having, and in order for her to be released from the hospital, she needed an air mattress to be able to lay in bed and try to help her so she wouldn't contract any pressure ulcers. So we went out and we were able to go and buy her an air mattress so that she could go home and enjoy the life in her home. We've been able to give out ramps. We've helped people buy wheelchairs, both chairs like I'm in now, or we helped another individual buy a mobile chair, a power chair. We've also been able to help people buy a device that you put on your chair that helps with its mobility called a smart drive. It just pushes the chair along. We've given away 2 of those. I mean, it just goes on and on. We've given away a lot of things that help people.
So sometimes they don't know what they don't know, probably, like, you know, those kind of mobility drive, right?
Right. You don't, yeah, that's a great point. You don't know what you don't know until someone shares it with you, and that's part of our peer group. And I didn't know about the smart drive. I have gotten one myself, and I happened to learn about it at one of our peer group meetings. Yeah. And, you know, it's a great piece of equipment. It saves your shoulders as you start to get a little older. You know, you don't have to push as hard and push as often, and yeah.
So just kind of an assist in terms of having to make a full
Yes,
push?
it's a piece of equipment. It's about as small as a handheld vacuum cleaner, and it has a wheel on the back of it, It attaches to the chair, and you have a Bluetooth wristband that communicates with the smart drive. So depending on how hard you push your wheels, determines on how fast you go. And this, once you push it once, the machine takes over and keeps you going at that same speed. And it's a wonderful piece of equipment.
That's great.
Yeah, modern technology now
you're
is.
tired by the time you get there and having to do it all manually.
Yeah.
Oh,
So like if I go
beautiful.
to a, I don't know, like Disney World or something like that, and you're going to be pushing all day long, I put that on the back of my chair, and it makes it much easier to get around.
Sure, with the heat and stuff. It just assists of that. It's wonderful. That's great. So how do people find out about your organization?
Well, word of mouth has been very good. We've been on a couple of shows to tell people about it, and also we have a website, RochesterSpinalAssociation.org, and people can go on the site and learn about how they can get a grant and just learn about when our meetings are and how to get involved.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So really word of mouth is important.
Very important.
And to your point that changing the name, Rochester, means that it's not this big organization, that it may not matter, but around the area. So.
Yeah. We focus on the greater Monroe County area, Rochester specifically,
I see. Now, do you meet with the grantees, or do you? How does that work? Do they apply for it and they give you the financial situation that they're in, what they're looking for? Do you guys actually, the board meets with them, volunteers meet with them?
Some of our volunteers and some of the people at the hospital meet with the people. Many times the person just fills out an application and sends it to us via over the internet, the website, and so it's a variety of different ways.
Sure. As with the 75 cases every year, there's the hospital probably would say, here's an organization.
Absolutely, that's been a great way for newly injured or newly diseased people to learn about us is through the hospital, and we've got a lot of great people that work up at the U of R on our board, and they're in contact with these people regularly, so it works out pretty well.
That's great. That really is a big difference to have someone in your life kind of help out, outside of like the normal group of people that you're with, an organization to help.
When you sustain an injury like this, the first couple of years, first 2 or 3 years, you're just learning how to live all over again because everything is impacted. Just reaching into your refrigerator, just turning on the water, just getting in and out of your house, or learning how to dress again or get around again. It's all different, and you need that much time to learn how to live again. And be independent.
Just maneuver around. Yeah, I see what you mean. That's great. That's great. So these meetings that you have monthly, where are they held? At
Monroe Community Hospital. They give us space up on the 6th floor of their hospital, and we meet there regularly. And I believe it's the 3rd Thursday of every month. But again, people can go on our website at RochesterSpinalAssociation.org and get on our mailing list, and then we send you invitations every month and let you know where they're being held, what time they're being held, and who the guest speakers are going to be.
Oh, that's great. So these are both the people who have the injury and then probably support people in their families?
Caregivers and support people, and yes.
That's great. That's beautiful. Thank you. We'll take a quick break. My guest is John Casey. He's the chairman of the board of the Rochester Spinal Association. We'll be right back.
If you're thinking about whether or not you're sober enough to drive, you aren't! Otherwise, why would you be thinking about it, huh? Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving.
A lot of people ask me about my situation, how it affects my everyday life. There are some times in life when you fall down and you feel like you don't have the strength to get back up. It's easy to make excuses, but giving up will get you nothing. But giving your all will get you to new heights. Every day is a second chance. It's up to you to make a difference. As long as you're still alive, still fighting, still pushing along, life goes on.
And we're right back. I'm Nannette Nocon, and this is It's About Money. My guest is John Casey. He is the chairman of the board of the Rochester Spinal Association. Thanks again for being here, John.
Thank you for having me, Nannette.
So we talked about the benefits, the support that's given to individuals who have disability, spinal cord disability. How does the organization raise money?
Well, we were fortunate enough in 2016 to start with 3 events. One was a scavenger hunt that we had, and that was put on by Polano and Farrow. They're local attorneys here in Rochester. And that was a real fun event. And we did pretty well. We raised about $2,500 for the association there. We also have a golf tournament that we have turned into an annual event. And in 2016, we raised just under $15,000. And we're going to be having that again this year in 2017. And that'll be held at Rochester Locust Hill Country Club, excuse me. And lastly, we had kind of a signature event, which was called Variety Live. And in 2016, we were able to raise just under $70,000 for the association.
That's phenomenal for the first year. That's great. Great job. Congratulations.
That set the bar pretty high now.
That's the challenge.
The challenge is trying to repeat. And we're going to have that event again this year in 2017. And that'll be at Nazareth Callahan Auditorium, and we've got some wonderful acts lined up, and we've got some wonderful sponsors. We've got some honorary chair members, the Splettas, Gary Squires, Dr. Burke and his wife, Coral Surgeon, and our honorary chairs are Bob Morgan and Robin Morgan. And it's just going to be a very fun night, a great night. We've got an aerial violinist that will be performing. We've got a magician that'll be performing at our reception. We have a comedian that'll be performing. We have Rochester City Ballet. It's just going to be a great night, and I hope that, again, we can exceed the bar that we set last year, and looking forward to it, and we're trying real hard.
That's great. So with that program, you have sponsors, right? You sell
Yes.
tickets and sponsors. And then let's see, and you have some auction items as well.
Yes, we have a live auction, and last year we ended up having a condominium down in Jamaica that was auctioned off, and we had Two Vine gave us a dinner for I can't remember, I think it was 16 people that we auctioned off, and it was a great event. It was just great having live participation and live audience bidding on some of these things, and we hope we can do as well this year with some auction items as well.
Yeah, the program I attended was remarkable. I mean, the performers were amazing. It's like, gee, there should be a lot of people here, because it's really it's just wonderful how you were able to put all the talent together.
And I want to thank you for your sponsorship last year as well.
Oh,
it was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think it's such a well worth cost that's well worth it. You know what I mean? I think the message is wonderful, that we care about the people in the community, right?
Yeah.
And that there's I love the way your board is composed, actually, where you have the caregivers, the people with the injuries, and the people who support it. So it's like all three, you know what I mean? It's just so well thought out.
Yeah, well, it's we tried to reach out to the whole community, because when you have an injury like this, there are so many people that are impacted, and it's so dramatic, and it's like one day you're able-bodied and the next day you're in a chair if you're injured, and many times disease does the same thing. But and then there's so many people, your immediate family, your coworkers, your friends, your peers. It just touches so many people, and so because of that, we wanted to make sure that our board was composed of the same group, same type of people that are represented by those that are impacted by an injury like this.
Yeah, well, I think it's great, and then the participation from the community, because the signature event that you had is also the same group of people, right? I mean, it's expanded, because it's accommodates how many? The Callan's auditorium, I think, is like 500 people or something like that.
Yes.
So need 500 people to be there.
We need 500 people to be there. Yes. So,
yeah, it's
and
well
again,
worth
you can
it.
get tickets, and you can learn about our sponsorships at RochesterSpinalAssociation.org.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the website has all the information. I'll put that on our screen. So, how did the organization think of that event? I mean, it's such a variety, some kind of defying acts there. But how did the group come up with it? Did someone come up with the idea? How did you think about doing the variety show?
It was a brainstorming activity of our board. That a lot of there's a lot of competition for donated dollars here in Rochester, and we wanted to do something different and kind of stand out. And nobody was doing a variety show, and we thought, well, this is a little different, and people can come and have a really good time. And we wanted to make sure that when people came to our show, they walked away and said, wow, this was a lot of fun. And they look forward to coming back again this year. So we've been very fortunate. Many of the people that were sponsors for our event last year, such as Wegmans, they're re-sponsoring again this year. Polano and Faro, they're a major sponsor. You sponsored us last year, and I think a lot of these people are coming back and looking to sponsor again this year because they recognize not only the value, but the fact that it was fun and people enjoyed themselves. And so that's what we want to do again this year.
Yeah, that's great. You know, for somebody who's not around people with using a wheelchair, it was kind of interesting to have an event that had a lot of people with that. But it's just wonderful, the mix of the people, and then the energy and excitement in the program is great. You know what I mean?
Good.
And sorry for that perspective, but you know, I just thought I'm not alone. You know what I mean? That there
Yes.
are people that may not be exposed, and just realizing like there's so much that we could do helping people out. I remember you talked about, you know, people with their vehicles not being able to. Obviously, getting a van is very expensive.
Yes.
But at least helping people out to kind of be able to be mobile within their own, you know, from where they are to being able to find different resources that they could not find otherwise in the
Right.
community. So I think that's really good. Does your organization get involved at all in educating the members in terms of research that's out there?
Well, in collaboration with the U of R, every year we put on a Spinal Cord Association, and U of R put on a what we call a Spinal Cord Injury Fair, and they bring in a guest speaker and kind of talk about what's going on in the medical field and educate people. And we have a great turnout for that. There's probably 50 to 75 people in wheelchairs that attend that.
Nice.
And that is an educational opportunity where we learn about what's going on in the medical field. And last year they did quite a bit with educating us with regard to the exoskeleton, which is a piece of equipment that you can strap up to, and it helps you walk. And
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. So we learned about that, and you know, you have to have certain abilities to be able to use that piece of equipment, so it's not for everybody, but that was a great educational opportunity for us.
Sure. It's just kind of nice to know that there's money being spent or time and talent being put into research that could enhance people's lives. That's great. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So really, like you said, the objective is to bring awareness and then also help people who have an injury, a disability, to be able to find ways to enhance the way they live.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
great. Is there a message that you'd like to give to our audience about the organization or just about spinal cord injuries?
Well, I think I'd like to try to enhance the awareness of people out there. You know, the world lives at about the 5 or 6 foot level. You know, when we're all standing, that's about how high we are. And people in wheelchairs, they're down here, they're at about the 3.5 or 4 foot level. So it's a little more challenging for us when we're in a crowd or when we're go to a show and everybody's walking by and they're up here and we're down here and we're trying to get through that crowd, and sometimes we're overlooked. And I just want people to be aware that we're out there and that we're sometimes we need a little help, and it's just a little more challenging for us than it is for some other people. But and if there's any way that people can help us by donating and they feel that our cause is worthwhile, again, they can go to our website at rochesterspinalassociation.org and learn about how they can help us there. Or if people want to contact me directly, my email is johntcaseyjr at gmail.com, and I welcome people to reach out to me if there's a need, and I'll be happy to help in any way I can.
Well, that's great. We'll put that on the screen. And actually, there's a new law about giving to charity using the qualified charitable distribution. So a taxpayer who's over 70 and a half can choose to allocate their required minimum distribution to charitable organizations, to 501(c)(3)s. So it's a strategy that people can use. Instead of distributing the IRA and paying tax to it on it, they can direct it to charity, and that's a wonderful strategy, especially for people who don't take an itemized deduction. Obviously, I say that to double check with your tax preparer about this strategy and your financial advisor, but it's nice that those kinds of tax strategies are available, investment strategies are available for people who may choose to give, you know.
And 100% of every dollar that is donated to our association is or will be used to enhance the quality of life of people with spinal cord disabilities.
That's great. Your organization is all volunteer, right?
It's all volunteer.
Yeah, I forgot. It's a very important point.
Yes.
I mean, there's no overhead. I mean,
volunteer-based.
you do have your website, but it's, you know.
Yeah, our overhead is basically non-existent. We don't have anything. You know, there's an occasional fee, you know, to update the website or just something like that. But no, 100% of our money goes to help enhance the quality of life of people with spinal cord disabilities.
That's great. And do people hear about the stories? I mean, a lot of it is, of course, confidential, but do people hear about the story? Say, a great story, we were able to help this person, or is that something that can't really be discussed because it's too personal? Like, if someone who is like, oh, I wonder what they've done. You've shared with me some wonderful, heartwarming stories about the man moving to his apartment and the air mattress, but I just kind of wondered.
Well, we are making a video. And we're going to be sharing some of the stories, and we hope that we can put some of that video on our website, and people will be able to gain information, like you just said. You know, how's their money being used to help people?
Yes, you're right. And then also, probably the people who are helped are also happy to say that, hey, this is what the organization did for me, and you just apply. That's terrific. So the people that you've given the grants to, like you said, are word of mouth and from the meetings that you have, and that's how people can connect and get into the website. Yeah, that's great. I think that's wonderful. So thank you so much for being a part of our show today and telling us about Rochester Spinal Association.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I enjoyed myself. It was fun. Thank you.
It was fun, and thanks to you for volunteering your time, talent, and your resources to the great cause, and then to the board of directors and the volunteers to our organization. So
thanks.
And
We
volunteers
just
too.
hope we can make a difference.
Yes, and I think you are already.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. And thank you our guests for tuning in for It's About Money. My guest again was John Casey. He's the chairman of the board of the Rochester Spinal Association. Check out their website. And until next time, I'm Nannette Nocon.